If you would just stop operating from a place of fear, you could unlock the most rich, rewarding, and memorable lives. One of my biggest obstacles in life is a constant fear of failure and rejection. I think growing up and always competing and always wanting to be the best and always being pushed to be better really made me very discontent. But I am beginning to realize that fearlessness is one of the most precious characteristics that a person can have. And this is not to say that someone who's fearless really has no fear. I don't think it's physically possible for someone to truly be fearless. Now, I have heard that certain dogs, like a bulldog, has a very small part of their brain where fear is processed, and so for that reason, they literally have less fear than other dogs. Now, that doesn't exist among the human race, but I do think that you can condition yourself and you can practice um, things that you may be afraid of over and over and over again, and essentially retrain your nervous system to no longer immediately go into fight or flight mode. Um, I did this years back when I was in college. I had sort of speech anxiety. It was a form of social anxiety at the time, but I could really feel it whenever I had to speak publicly, and anytime everyone's heads would turn and look at me and it was my time to speak, that is when I would completely freeze. I actually forgot um, to breathe. It was sort of like I was so focused on the words that were coming out of my mouth or supposed to be coming out of my mouth that I completely disregarded breathing, and so I would lose my breath, and then it just made things worse because you could tell that I was nervous. And so, long story short, I am much better now through practice and through exposing myself uh, to environments and situations where I had to speak in front of people. And so I have had a certain person in mind. When I think of fearlessness, I think of Muhammad Ali. And the reason being is his his style, his float like a butterfly, sting like a bee saying that was in my mind, and I'm a huge boxing fan. It was symbolic of his ability to use speed and footwork and to not really be afraid of getting punched like you see some fighters do, but to just sort of like be ready and be on guard and just be on his toes at all times. And I think that fearlessness and his confidence and a lot of other things are what made him one of the greatest of all time. And I think that we should all try our very best to try to face our fears head on. Try to put your fears on a piece of paper. Really think about it. Really understand maybe the source of the fear. I believe, in my experience, that a lot of my fears are or were planted in my childhood, and they've sort of been around ever since. There's very few things that I can think of to this day that, or in this current day, that have sort of developed in recent time. I think my fear of failure, my fear of rejection, my speech anxiety, all of these things somehow manifested themselves in me as a kid. And I never took the time to explore them deeply. So if you have fears and if you have yet to investigate them, please do. Write them down. Analyze yourself. Study yourself. I think these days with ChatGPT and Google and social media and YouTube, we're constantly looking outward. We're not looking inward. It's best to look inside for the answers. So write your fears down. Try to maybe even determine its history, determine its source, its origin, and then find moments in your everyday where maybe you start to feel that fear boiling inside of you. And that is a moment for you to, like Muhammad Ali or like so many other amazing individuals out there, to overcome that fear, to, despite your heart beating, despite your hands sweating, take action and defeat your fears day after day.